This is episode 9 of Pitchin' It with Ben. In this episode, I am joined by LPGA Tour player Christina Kim. We talk about her recent experience on PGA Tour Live, including her favorite parts, as well as some of the challenges. Christina also discusses the best parts about the long break, including using her voice and platform to help advocate for change and speaking out against social injustices. We also discuss the much anticipated return to tournament golf on the LPGA Tour and the process she went through to prepare for that. All this and more on episode 9. As always, thanks for listening, and please like, rate, comment, subscribe, and share. So, first of all, I want to briefly touch on your PGA Tour Live. I know everyone's been talking to you about this, but rightfully so. I mean, it's really cool. I think if I were to see, commentating is one of those things. I think we all, whether we say it vocally or not, we like to judge who's commentating, and we almost never, this is my experience, people I've been around and myself, we never fully like, oh, they're an amazing commentator, they do everything right. This is not going to happen. But if I were to dream up a golf commentator, I think that you tick like every box. Like, well, no, but seriously, because I think to be like a play-by-play, to be on like commentator like that, you need to be quick-witted, which you are. You know the game of golf. Not only do you know the game of golf, you play the game of golf, and you've been in a lot of these, not the exact same scenarios that they've been in. Like, I don't think there's very few people hitting a ball 400 yards like Bryson is, but you know what I mean. Like, so.
I mean, Bubba hit it 429 on Saturday. No big deal. I know what you mean, though. And Tony Finau's gotten 206 ball speed, so.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. But can't wait to get to that, because I want to talk to you about that, because you've been making some big gains, though. I mean, 206 is just like a different level for everybody on earth. But first, just PGA Tour Live, like that experience. What was one of the things that you enjoyed the most about it?
Honestly, I would say the two things that I enjoyed the most about it was being immersed in a new experience. The entire crew with the PGA Tour Live coverage, everyone was so accommodating, so positive, so helpful and insightful. Both, obviously between Billy Kratzer and Brian Katrick, who were with me this last time, as well as Swantek and Carvalho, and then Karen Stupples, and my first foray into it, which I only did 2 days of coverage. And then, other than that, just getting to watch golf. I kind of came in with the idea of, what do I need to do? So I discussed with the executive producer and vice president of PGA Tour Entertainment, PGA Tour Live, Greg Hopfe, and I was like, what do you want out of me? What do you need me to do differently this week in comparison to the previous week? Where can I improve? And he was just basically like, you're doing great. Just make sure that when the players and caddies are talking, that you're not as much as you can. And, that for me, it was a little bit of like an epiphany moment, because I was like, oh, we are actually providing the viewers and the audience with a completely different experience from, the past 70 years of television broadcast when it comes to golf. We are following, 4 groups in the morning and in the afternoon. So 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. We're providing featured holes. And so we are giving you every single shot of these featured groups. And so it's almost like you're truly getting an inside the ropes experience. And it's not about anybody other than the players. We're there to enhance the experience, whether it's, just discussing, what the chances are that the shot they're going to play because of the lie, how they're going to attack this hole, what they're actually going to be thinking about when it comes to a particular tee shot, discussing the golf course architecture in and of itself, what it demands of you and things like that. And so for me, it was just like, oh, this is so great because it has nothing to do with me. Because I don't like talking about myself. I prefer, if we ever are in conversation, you'll notice, I ask a lot more questions and I prefer answering because I'm, as loud as I am, as brash as I am, as much as I say things, I am still a very private person. So I was like, it really is revolutionary. So I just had a great time. I mean, I keep telling people it's the same thing that I was doing 2-3 years ago, whenever I'd watch the Sunday of the US Open. It's just, I don't have like schnack smeared across my face and like my hand down my pants, like just chilling on the couch. So that's really all I tried to do, because I told myself, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and just be myself. I'm going to try and provide as much of an experience as I can and just be who I am. And what's the worst that happens is they tell me, don't come back, or I get escorted off of property. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And it ended up being just so much fun and such an amazing experience. And, the vast majority of the response has been pretty remarkable. Like, I was just like, bro, I'm just talking. Like, this is just what I do. And obviously there are some people that, whether they're more accustomed to, first off, male voices during professional golf that feature men, whether it's the fact that they're like, I don't know why you're telling us why his ball's going to draw because the ball's above his feet. Like, people that don't understand certain aspects of the golf. And then there were just some people that are like, you're awful. And I'm like, cool story, bro. I really don't care what you think. Like, I don't care. It's not that I don't care about praise. I just don't need it. I just was who I am and was just out there, and I had a ball. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what was more important to me than anything else, aside from making sure that I wasn't swearing and, just making sure that like the producers were not having to stress over what I was saying or when I was saying things. So I obviously I did have their needs in mind. It was just more, let's just have a ball. Like, don't change anything about who you are. Who you are is the reason why that you're out here, which that in itself is a head scratcher.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, a couple things. One, of course, and I think you do an amazing job. Like, if you go through Twitter, for instance, even today, seen a couple of your conversations with people, it's like someone could say you're awful. It's like, if you're really that awful, you've done this now 2 times, and you also went from 2 days to like full coverage. Like, you don't have to worry about them. You're good. Just great at what you're doing. The second thing is, what you mentioned swearing, making sure you didn't swear. What do you think was the most challenging part for you personally during that whole experience?
Not swearing when I was watching Bryson's implosion is easily that was the most difficult part for me, because I was, first off, maybe it wasn't that difficult because it took a lot for me to like get my jaw off of the floor while I was watching it. And then when they were going through the whole rules fiasco with, him not knowing, one, that as long as your ball is out of a hazard, you're in play, or a penalty area, and 2, not understanding what the boundary of the golf course is. And I do understand to his point that, there might have been an occasion here or there where, the boundaries have changed. And that being said, every single week we're encountering different golf courses with, housing communities, without housing communities, all kinds of stuff. So we have to know as players where the boundaries of our golf course is. And so I was getting a little frustrated with that, to say the least. And also just watching these guys not hit fairways was mind-boggling to me. And I understand, the higher the club head speed, the higher the chances are that, the 1 degree off when you have like, 100, sorry about that. When you have like 144, 145 mile an hour ball speed, 1 degree is like, here. Whereas if it's going 180, 200, like it does go out a lot further. I was just like, there were some times like when Phil went way right on 9 and I was like, what in the hell was that? And I'm like, oh, he meant to do that? Like, what is my life right now? Like, short grass is better. Do the same thing, just take a different line and go into short grass. So, there was a fair bit of me having to learn different things when it comes to just watching how the guys play. And it'd be like, he's got like 145 and I'm like, pitching wedge, maybe gap wedge, 209, 8-iron, okay.
Yeah, so that's interesting too, because you played golf with a lot of people. You're a professional golfer. You played on the LPGA for a long time, but I know you played with lots of men. You played with lots of, like, I've seen at your local club, or that you're a member at, like, you play with lots of very good players. So you've seen people hit it far, and I'm sure you've watched the PGA Tour players up close before as well. But is there anything that you learned from this experience, like from the players themselves, like being in a position to, like, I'm sure you analyze when you watch golf anyway. Probably it seems instinctually you're just like, whoa, like they took that line. Why'd they do that? Why'd they whatever? But is there anything that you learned while you were doing this analyzing and commentating?
Yeah, swing faster. And I mean, honestly, I've picked up a couple miles club head speed and ball speed just after having watched the guys. Like, I don't know. It's just, they have such an amazing ability to really utilize the ground in a way that myself and a lot of LPGA players, we just don't get the same kind of like torque and the same kind of like power. Obviously, it's just, they're going to have, different, the muscles, even though they're in the same place, they do act differently. And so, yeah, I was just like, girl, you got to hit the ball harder. And so I was like looking, and one thing I was watching is like, we'd be sitting there and it'd be like, okay, like take example, I think it's hole number 3, where it's like, you don't want to hit it much more than 250, 260 out. And obviously they were getting a bit of roll because it had firmed up for that second week in comparison to the workday. And I'm like looking at the ball speed, because it's like, they track, the height, the apexes, they have the curve, and then they have the ball speed. And I was like, that's my driver. And that's not a driving iron. Like, what is happening? So, just small things like that. And then, just I did learn in that regard. It's just, there were other times where I'm like, honey, it's blowing 20 miles an hour. You're going downwind. Chances are very unlikely that, and the greens are obviously a lot firmer than they were last week. Chances are that it's not going to spin back, And there were also times when I'm looking and I'm like, you've got like a 6% slope that you can use to bring the ball back. Why are you not utilizing that? Like, why aren't you using that? And I'm just like, it was like mind boggling. Because I'm like, these guys are so good. And I'm like, man, I think there are some of the guys that could probably, maybe benefit from, just getting a little bit more understanding of like the architecture of the golf course that they're on, get an idea of the, methodology implemented from the architects that designed the courses that they're on. And I'm just like, it's a Nicholas design. So, generally, obviously there are going to be exceptions. Generally, they're going to favor a fade. Sorry. Generally, you're not going to suffer if you play a fade, or if you're going to play a draw, you're probably going to have to, bail out way right, have it come in, and maybe play it a little bit shorter because it's not going to spin as much. And so it's going to have that first initial hop, and then it'll take that slope and then nestle it in close. Obviously it was playing so difficult because, I kind of joked that it was like you know, the rough basically became every dude's hair 2.5 months into quarantine. That's what I'm saying. That it just kept growing. Like there were some there were some shots where and I had said, I'm like, you know, it's like the grass reminds me of the fur of a Siberian husky, because you've got the long wispy, you know, the long hair, and then you've got that thick undercoat as well, where the ball really nestles in. And you know, like when we were watching the coverage early on Friday, I'm like, you know, you're putting an extra premium on hitting the drive, your tee shot into the fairway, because, you know, since there's dew all over the golf course, because of the high temperatures, because of the high humidity, because the dew point is like going to be like 72 to 76 degrees all day long, all of that water that you see just in the fairways is collecting, you know, much more in the actual rough. So the rough is going to go from feeling and looking super thick to playing even tougher. And so the ball's just going to like, it's not going to do what you want it to do. And yeah, I don't know. It was just, there was plenty I learned. It was really cool. And just getting that moment to see Tiger, like seeing Tiger at Memorial, like that's a mood. Like that is, it was just so freaking cool to be able to witness that and seeing some of the magic, you know, happen again. And, you know, it was an unbelievable experience. And I remember thinking, you know, when I was told that I was going to be able to, you know, do the coverage for the Memorial, I was like, oh my God, please let Tiger commit. Please let Tiger commit. And then I saw his name in the field and I was like, oh my goodness, this means I get to commentate for Tiger, because you can't not have Tiger in one of the featured groups, you know, you have to.
Right. As much as these, somehow they seem to pop up all over like social media feeds, not all over, but those few, they stand out. They're like, Tiger's old, blah, blah, blah. Like, get out of here. You know, golf is not where it's at right now without this guy. And he's playing the Memorial, where he's had an incredible success. Well, where hasn't he had success? We do. I know you know the answer to that question. But, yeah, there's no way. And that is amazing. If I tried to commentate on Tiger, no, I don't have the commentator in me. I'm not quick enough, I don't think.
I'm not a commentator, though. I'm just like, basically, I'm like, bro, did you see that?
Well,
like,
no, yeah, but that's fine. No, like, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I learned it, like I said, it's not about us, you know, so I don't need to sit there and say, you know, back in 2014 when I won Lorena Ochoa, you know, invitational presented by Banamex, like I don't need to be saying things like, you know, it's like,
right.
I'm just like, dude, did you just see that shot that guy hit? Like, that is unbelievable. They're so good. And, you know, let's listen to what the players and caddies are actually talking about. Like, I became such a huge fan. I was always a huge fan of Colin Morikawa in the last, you know, in the last year and a bit. And just getting the opportunity to listen to him and his caddy, JJ, talk, like, you really, really get the sense of how much of a unit they are. And it really put a huge emphasis on how important the caddies are to the overall tournament experience, you know. And then I touched up on, you know, the agronomy crew and how many, you know, hours they're up at 4:30 in the morning. They're working till 10 at night just to get the golf course in the shape they want it to. They were teetering on the line because it's a razor thin line between being fair and unfair. They never crossed over into the unfair territory. It was just, I'm sorry, you're going to, and like Mr. Nicholas wanted, you're going to have to hit unbelievable shots in order to be rewarded. Like, just because you have a sand wedge in your hand doesn't mean you're going to automatically stick it. You have to, again, use the ground, understand the slopes and everything, and be able to use it to draw the ball back into towards the hole.
Right. And especially after a week, like, I do think that was really cool. I don't know, people call it a flex or whatever, but how the course was kind of picked apart the week, like literally 7 to 10 days before. And then how different, based on setup, but also the condition of like how they got the greens to go or quicker and let the rough keep growing or whatever they do. Like, it is wild. And you get the best. Like, you know, you want to see who the best is. And a lot of times with tougher conditions, that's what they do. They reveal the best. You can't.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah, and it's just nice to have weeks like that at least occasionally. I don't know if
Of
you want to have it
course.
every single week, but like it's nice to see that separation.
Well, for sure. And, insofar this year, we haven't had a single major championship. So it's nice to be able to get major-esque conditions. And like you were saying, the week before, it was basically a completely different golf course. So it again is a huge testament to Chad Mark and all of the staff that he had. I mean, he had a staff of like 62 guys going out in two waves. You had someone from Australia, New York, Pennsylvania. Like they weren't even able to get the guys from like Bel Air, LACC, Texas, things like that. Who come in and either intern or just come in for the week and all of that. Like it just shows how amazing agronomy crews really are when it comes to the work and the dedication required to get a golf course to be so vastly different from one week to the other.
Yeah. And then even in longer term, so like they're doing this redesign, which I'm not familiar with all the details of it, but just the fact, like they finished the front nine, everyone's done, and they're already like digging up, taking off, sawed off the greens. It's like, yeah, they're getting to it because it's a process. It's a process to do this stuff.
For sure, it's a process. And then on top of that, it was always a plan that after the memorial concluded, they were going to start the renovations. There's any number of things like they were going to, there's a lot of poana mixed in with the bent grass that they have over there. They wanted it to be straight bent because then it'll just be one, more consistent. Two, it'll be easier to, make adjustments when it comes to firmness and how receptive they want the greens to be. Because you could see like there were, as the day was going on, you could see like the poana spots were becoming like purplish brown on the TV screen. And so you saw these spots there. And while it's not, aesthetically, it doesn't really matter. It's more just how the golf ball is going to roll and perform. So they want it to be as smooth as possible. There were issues that they're wanting to improve when it comes to irrigation and things like that. And, it's just, it's awesome. Like, yeah, they stuck a shovel into the ground at 3 p.m. because Mr. Nicholas was leaving the next afternoon and he needed to approve 6 of the 18 greens by the time he left. Wow. And so I think they were going to work in increments of, first they're going to get the approval for these 6 greens and then they're going to go and fix all those greens, finish them up. He may come back, look at however many more between 3 and 12, and then, be able to work in batches and things like that. So it's such an amazing thing, I think. And, I said it on Twitter before, I'll always say it, make sure your superintendent, appreciate your superintendent. If they're mowing the grass while you're out there playing, just hold up for a minute. They're doing their job. They're doing their job to allow you to have your golf course in the best condition that they can provide you with. And they are they have the most thankless job out there next to rules officials.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's one of those things too. It's like a brief inconvenience. I mean, you're not going to be definitely waited on tee box. It's not fun to wait, but when you're waiting on the grounds crew or the superintendent, just wait. The course doesn't exist in the condition it's in without them. If anything, you should be giving them more time. Can I help?
Yeah, exactly. There's so much you can learn about just understanding the ground, understanding the grass. And most superintendents have a cool ass dog too. So.
Oh, 100%. Yo, I forget. I can't remember his name, but the Sky 72 course in Incheon, there I briefly met the man and he had his dog out there. And I think maybe a couple of kids. It's driving around. It's because he's not a Korean man. So it just when I was there last year during the KLPGA event, I would definitely, a lot less Caucasian people there. There's me and a couple caddies and that was it. So, and I was oh.
Yeah, because you came into another country. Of course there'd be fewer people. Yeah.
Right. Well, I had gone the year before when it was still LPGA event. So there's a lot more people in general, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's cool. Superintendent, and they travel a lot too. The superintendents in different places. So I do want to talk about you though, because I know you don't like to talk about you. I know you don't like to talk about you, but this break, I think the last LPGA event, was February now? Like,
It was the week of Valentine's Day.
It's been a long break. So I have seen you literally do, let's see, you've been running, been working out, you've been cooking, rock climbing.
One time I went rock climbing.
Climbing. Podcast, you've been doing plenty of those, and we all appreciate that. What else have you been doing? Oh, adding distance. And I think you added at least another hole-in-one to your resume. So anyway, with no S, what's been the best part for you? Because I know the break has been frustrating in a lot of ways, but I think to me, and probably I don't know how you feel, it's kind of nice in some ways because you've gotten to do some other things and work on things that you've never really been able to do. So what's been one of the best things for you during this time?
Well, truth be told, I've spoken with a number of people, and, a lot of times I'm being told, like, oh my God, all of a sudden there's 24 hours in a day. And I sit there and I say, yeah, oh my God, now there's 24 hours in a day. So I've been, being able to, build up a little bit of a routine, getting up in the mornings, doing my exercises, or going out, working out, going out to the golf course, going for a run. My routine, it consists of potential, like 5 different things I'm going to do. Sure. And for me, it's amidst all of the tragedy that's taken place, because obviously with the pandemic going on and, people dying and people seeming like they also don't care in these last couple of months, it's been tough to witness, and it's been tough to deal with. At the same time, I sit there and I say, okay, what can you do? And I always stress to people to be the change that you want to see in the world. So I was dedicating myself to, last year, late in the year, I decided to go on this ketogenic lifestyle, still going hard, still absolutely loving it. And then I said, realistically, if you want to compete on the LPGA Tour, you need to be working out, you need to get stronger. Like, just like all of us, like we were all strong when we were kids, and your body changes. It might have something to do with you have the weight of a mortgage on your shoulders. All of a sudden you're paying car payments, you have bills. Being an adult is not the same as being a kid. And so I sat there and I said, okay, I need to start working out again. I need to better myself as a golfer, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend. I just I want to be better. And what an amazing opportunity that has risen amidst all of this tragedy. So one of the best things was the fact that I was able to take care of myself, and I was able to really spend time on figuring out who the things that matter to me. And, another thing that has been fantastic, in my opinion, has been the final recognition of all of this social injustice and all of this Black suppression, the police brutality, things like that. I've always been an advocate for, reform, and I've got a lot of friends that are in, like various police departments and things like that. And I know a lot of them, and I respect and I love a lot of them. I just think that things need to change. And, I'd had this like 10-minute Instagram TV story that I had put up where I was talking about it. And I just this is nothing to do with, this is nothing to do with anything other than making sure that we recognize and we strive to make sure that Black lives matter, because until Black lives matter, all lives don't matter. And it has nothing to do about bringing anybody down to replace them with Black people. It's just to rise everybody up, so that has been my second favorite thing. And for me to finally be vocal about it, and I, in normal conversation, I always talk to people about things like this when it comes up, and I'm like, you know what? I can do more. I can do better. I can be a better advocate. I can be a better ally. I can sit there and, I'm fortunate enough that I do have a platform that people for some reason decide to like pay attention to what it is I do or say. And so if there's, an opportunity for me to, try and get through to someone and just say, this may not actually have anything to do with you as a person. This is about the Black community, and that's okay. This doesn't have to change your life. We're just trying to change theirs. Unless you're not someone that falls in line with what I believe in, then yeah, and there might have to be some adjustments in your life. And one great thing about being alive is that we can always be better. We can always strive for change. We can always strive for improvement. So why wouldn't we,
Right. 100%. It's, and I appreciate, you've been very consistent in that area. I mean, there was at the very beginning, after the tragedy of George Floyd, and then the protest that happened after that. And obviously it was like a big thing early on, and it still is. But I mean, there was like, everyone was on, like, if you weren't on board, if you weren't saying Black Lives Matter, if you weren't doing things to make active change, then like you were missing it. But then of course, as everything does, things tend to fade into the background, and you have remained very consistent in your message, and you're advocating for the Black community and those that are just treated unfairly. And I appreciate that. And and I know a lot of people that are being oppressed, or people that are being in in our tougher situations, they appreciate that too.
Well, for sure. And that's the thing. Like, I think at any point, if you're willing to make change, that's great. I just kind of, I do take issue. I do my best not to judge people. That being said, I do take issue with people that like hop on trend. Like, this isn't a trend. These are human freaking rights. I've always been an advocate for all marginalized people, whether it's people in the LGBTQAI plus community, whether it's women's rights and wanting to discuss, gender, wage equality, religious freedom, because I don't care if you believe something, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Do it. Yeah. I'll celebrate that for you. And people of different colors, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, like no two humans are alike anyway in the entire world. So, why would we want to do anything other than celebrate who we are as a people? And just because someone doesn't look like you, someone doesn't talk like you, someone doesn't speak your same language, or someone prefers something different from you, why does that have to make them a bad person? We are all just people. Like, no one is going to be 100% on the same page with another person about everything,
Yeah. And I think that it's been good. I know it's not the easiest thing, because I've done it, tried it, done it, but like making the videos of yourself, like talking and stuff. I know it's not it is not an easy thing to do. Some people are great at it, and you did very good at it. But, having dialogue with people about things, like, it helps so much more to actually, I think, to see a face, and then even deeper, like having actual conversation like we're having right now. Because I do think that we're all more similar than different. And a lot of the time, if you just talk with somebody, you might be on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and be like saying whatever, and you're like, this person what is wrong with them? And you don't know their whole story. But yeah, I mean, I do that a lot, but like, I don't know their whole story, and they don't know mine. And a lot of times, it's easier to do with like family members or friends. Sometimes it's still tough, but yeah, just talk it out. And like, why do you feel this way?
Of course. And that's the thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
And that's the thing. It's about talking. It's about communicating. And so it's not just sitting here and putting one's belief onto the other person. It's finding out where the other person's belief stems from, reflecting on that, trying to find any validity to it, and then also sharing your personal opinion, your belief in that, and seeing if they can reciprocate in the same manner. It's I've had some tough conversations with people that, I'll sit there and say Black Lives Matter, and then they'll say all lives matter. And I say, there's no question that all lives matter. It's just, as of right now, and for the last 450 years since the inception of this country, there have been Black people that have been marginalized, they've been oppressed, they've been denied all kinds of things. And so we need to recognize that. And that doesn't mean that you yourself are a bad person. Like this, if you're a white supremacist, then yeah, you're a bad person, because that's no go. It's just, being kinder and more forgiving and more understanding of one another. That's where true communication comes from. So I do my best to not have like high volume or high intensity debates with people when it comes to something as, in my opinion, as simple as human rights. I try and be kind and gentle about it. And that's part of the problem sometimes with something like Facebook, something like Twitter, Instagram. If you're not having, like, that's one reason why a lot of my videos, a lot of my replies that I've been doing, in the last month or so on Twitter have been videos, because people can take what you say and they'll read it however they wish. They'll read it based on the space that they're in. So if I can sit there and have a conversation with them and they can hear my tone, they can read my expressions and things like that, then I feel like there's a potential for it to go a lot further, as opposed to, an anonymous internet troll or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we're all real humans.
Yeah.
Except 100%. For the
100%.
bots.
There's a lot of bots too. Have you as much as you're on Twitter, have you been able to like pinpoint bots, or is it like, I'm sure sometimes it's pretty obvious, but that's something you built, a skill you built?
I'd like to believe there are some people though that they truly do teeter on the edge of being a real life human and a bot. And if I'm not 100% sure, then I will speak to them as though they're a human. Because if there is that chance that they are human, they're just a piece of crap of a human, I do want them to know, and then I get a lot of times with people being like, why do you waste your time? And I sit here and I say, if I'm able to even plant a tiny seedling of finding someone that is, even in 10 years from now, being open to the possibility of change, that's not a waste of time at all. Plus, half the time I'm probably taking a poo while I'm replying to these trolls and things like that. It's not a waste of time. Like, what else am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to play games, and I'm not going to, there's only so much, like, YouTube that I can watch if I'm, wanting to catch up on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, or, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, or things like that. There's only so much time. So I need to consolidate that to when I'm like waking up in the morning, and not when I'm going and taking a poo.
I got you. Okay, so LPGA, like, we're real close. Like, this is super close. This is probably going to come out after week 1, this talk with you. But, how exciting. Are you playing the first one?
Yes, I am playing. Yes, as of right now, I'm playing the first 5 weeks.
Ooh.
I'm very, very excited. I cannot wait. Obviously in a perfect world, they would be under slightly different circumstances, because we wouldn't be concerned about having 75,000 cases plus a day being confirmed. We all made a ton of sacrifices, early in the first couple of months of the pandemic. I know there were a lot of people that were, hurting financially, hurting economically. And I know there were a lot of parents out there that were losing their damn minds because their kids are like right in their face. And so a lot of people made a lot of sacrifices. And unfortunately, we're in a situation now where things have not gotten better. Hopefully we're near the peak. And I know, at least in my state, my home state is California, the current state in which I reside, Florida. A number of weeks ago, they were saying that at that time reach a new daily record of like over 4,000 cases in one single day. And at the same time, actual tests that were being conducted were down 3%. So it didn't have anything to do with the fact of, we're testing too much or anything like that. It's just the figures were saying, no, we actually slowed down testing. We're just getting that much more of an infectious rate.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, we would be in a different place right now. That being said, I want to mourn everybody that has suffered, and at the same time be able to also celebrate, the fact that a lot of us have made a lot of different various sacrifices, and we're going to do our best to try and be as safe as possible when we do resume tournament play.
Yeah, and I don't know how much detail you can disclose or talk about. I've talked to some caddies and players about minor details of like what's coming up, but it sounds like to me basically the protocols that are in place is going to be like hotel, golf course, hotel, with the ability to like pick up takeout from restaurants, but something along those lines, correct?
Yeah, like for me, the first 2 weeks when we're in Toledo, because the two courses are within a half hour of each other, I've basically got an Airbnb between the two, and it may not come out very funny. I do joke though that I've been preparing. I've been doomsday prepping for the last 2.5 years, because I've been doing Airbnbs and rentals for the vast majority of my stays for the last 5 years. And in the last 2.5 years, I honestly think I can count on one hand the number of times I've gone out to eat with other tour players. So for me, it's like I get to the golf course, I do my warm up, I go out and play, I do any sort of cool down that I need. If I need to get any physical therapy, I do that. And then the only thing that's on my mind is taking my pants off and just like relaxing to the max. And so I'll go home, I'll whip myself up some dinner. I've got a plethora of recipes that are, very quick, very easy, very nutritious to make. And then I, and along with the fact that I spend a lot of time on the golf course, by the time I get home, I'm pretty wiped out anyway. So all I want to do is just chill out, take a shower, take a bath, go to sleep, and start all over the next day. So I'm going to, I have to determine if I'm able to visit a grocery store for those first 2 weeks, because if I am, then, there's a number of grocery stores within, a few minutes of me. I'm, going to just stock up on food and hopefully not have to go to the grocery store more than once or twice during my stay. And I'm also prepared because I legitimately have purchased a couple of hazmat suits and safety goggles that I'm going to fly in, along with I have been fortunate enough to procure a few N95 face masks. So I don't care how stupid I look. I'm protecting other people as much as I'm protecting myself, because heaven forbid, I hope that I'm not. I had just sent out my at-home COVID-19 saliva test I took in front of another human being, where basically I just sat there. I was like, poo, 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 for like 5 minutes
Yeah.
to ensure that I was doing the test correctly. And so I should receive the results in the next 48 hours. That being said, hopefully, I've taken one coronavirus test. I did do the nose swab, and I got the antibody test taken care of as well. Both were negative, which, were great, because that means I can just continue on being as safe as I've been and stay the hell away from people the way that I have been. So this is just the next step, because, you can't really avoid people when you're on an aircraft. So yeah, might be going a little bonkers.
Right.
I don't care. If that means I get to be safe and everyone else does too, then that's fine by me.
Yeah, 100%. Like, in my opinion, there was a time, and maybe all of us go through it, and it's not like I'm perfect in this way, but I definitely, there's many things I just like, who cares? I don't care what other people think about me. And in this case, like specifically, you're keeping yourself safe, but you're also keeping other people safe, because who knows, like, if I just saw someone like coming from Florida, which I know several people that have been vacationing there and coming back home.
Mhm.
If anyone hears this, I'm not calling you out, but I kind of am.
You're subtweeting. That's all you're doing. It's a verbal subtweet.
I'm subtweeting, like, all right, it's like Florida. Woo! You guys just had another 20,000 kids. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just making a number up right now, but you know what I mean. So
They're not that far off.
I appreciate all the steps you're taking. You're staying safe, and if you get to play golf again, tour golf again, like, do what you got to. I mean, you know, do what you got to do, and to make sure that everyone's safe to do it. So,
yeah, there's no question. And the last time I gave a single shit about what anyone thought of me, I think I was like 12 and a half years old. And I'm honest. I'm constantly checking my pockets. I'm in my purse. Like, I look down my bra. I can't find a single shit to give. There isn't one. I sit there and I say, you live your life. I'm going to do mine. You can go ahead and take pictures of me, make fun of me. I don't care. I act a fool all the time. And I have a wonderful life that I get to live. So
I'll say you live a pretty fun life. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge, like, while at these first two events especially? I guess it's kind of like a test run. They have a lot of protocols in place. I think they're doing an amazing job from what I've seen so far. But there's obviously going to be some challenges along the way. What do you think it's going to be personally for you?
Well, you know, it's going to be strange not playing in front of fans. We can also look at it as though, well, is it though? Because that's basically what you've been doing for the last 5 months. You know, so it's, you know, there is definitely an energy that the audience and the fans are able to bring. And just having that ability to interact with these local communities is something that is, for me, so paramount to what creates a professional golf experience. So that's definitely going to be very difficult. And I mean, quite frankly, the first week that any player is back, whether it is at Drive On, whether it is at Marathon, whether it's at the Scottish, whether it's at the British, or even if it ends up being Arkansas, it's going to be like the first day of school. Like, after summer break, everyone's going to want to hug. Everyone's going to want to get close. Everyone's going to want to talk. And like, I've had several friends I hadn't seen. I mean, I had friends that I hadn't seen in over a year that I like randomly ran into. Like one friend of mine, I ran into her at you know, it's not a gym. He has a wellness. There's a wellness center where I work out. So it's very safe, very, very small number of, like, at most a handful of people on this, like, I don't know, 6,000 to 8,000 square foot property. And I saw this girl. I hadn't seen her in, might have been 2 years. And she was like, oh my God, Christina. And like came in for a hug. And I just stepped back. I was like, that. And she was like, oh, come on. And I'm like, she's like, it's been a couple of years. I'm like, I'm sending you a virtual hug right now. Like, don't, just because I love you does not mean that I want to actually touch you right now. I will hug you for 20 minutes once we all get vaccinated. It's just what's the harm in sacrificing, you know, a few more months in our lives when you compare that to the amount of months in a single human's lifetime? You know, like, I'm not here to take that risk. I'm not here to, you know, potentially expose them or myself, because there's, honestly, I mean, I feel great. I've felt great this whole time. I've been safe. There's a chance I could be an asymptomatic carrier, you know, and this is just a reality. And if that's the case, I'm going to shut myself in my room for 10 days and, you know, then cry, obviously, and then have to reassess everything. But those are probably going to be the two hardest things. And it's going to be so hard. Like, I think especially for the caddies, because not every caddy is going to be there with every single player. You know, like, I'm very independent, and thankfully my caddy is too, and he doesn't need to feel like he has to go up and talk to everybody. Like, I'm very lucky that way. There are some caddies out there though that are, you know, they're boys. Like, they want to see their boys. They want to, like, hang out, do this, do that, chit chat. And, it's going to be hard. You know, it's going to be hard to say, oh, hey, you know, I've been back in California. You live in Atlanta. Like, how are things? Or how's the wife? How are the kids? And not, like, do the, you know, the boy handshaky thingy, you know. I everything, like even if like I don't give fist bumps anymore, like people try and tap elbows and I'm like, I got short stumpy arms, you stay the hell away from me. Like I do putter taps. So if you have like the putter heads or the grips, you just tap butts, and that keeps you more than 6 feet apart from each other, you know, so you can still celebrate good shots without having to make physical contact. There's any number of things though, you know, it's just, and we won't know until we get there.
Right.
You know, that's the biggest thing, is we won't know.
Yeah. I think those challenges are going to be really big or fairly difficult. Just because, like, I think about it myself personally, which I will not be there. I was thinking about going, seeing if I could go. It's kind of a mixture of both, that I can't go in one fashion, but also just the risk of it all and financially and all these other things. But anyway, that's one of my biggest things. It's like the socialization of things. Like I'll spend Monday, Tuesday, like a couple hours each day just talking to people on the range or at the putting green or walking a couple holes with people, or like, so that would be, I think it'd be just different once you get there. I think that
it would be a challenge.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting too, like the playing, because I think you've had this mindset. It's been really interesting to watch. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go out and shoot like 65, but but you've stayed ready. Like, I feel like you've had this mentality that not everyone has had. You're just like, I'm going to be ready to go, and I have an opportunity. My golf course is open. I'm going to play, and I'm going to stay as focused or as mentally sharp as I can. So whenever that time does come for us to play again, I'm going to feel as prepared as I can. And I know a lot of people, and it's fine, other people too, that have taken, like, they took a couple months off. Yeah, it's okay. But it's still going to be interesting to see, like, how people get back. Like, you've had, I think, competitive reps, like you play rounds safely with some friends and other players, and you're like, it's not the same as LPGA tournament golf, but you're still getting, like, competitive juices flowing a little bit and stuff. So anyway, it's going to be interesting in that part too. Like, who's ready? Who's just going to be, like, nervous? Because it's, yeah, like you said, the first day of school, but, like, the first day of kindergarten, like, it's like you've never been to
it's like
school.
the first day of school, and then you have to stand up and give a presentation, basically.
Yeah.
So and like you said, I mean, I had a split mindset. I had the mindset of Mike Wan is going to call me and be like, dude, I messed up. We're teeing it up next week. And then at the same time, I'm having the mindset of my director of golf at my golf course calling, be like, yo, we're closing tomorrow. So if you want to play, you got to get everything in today. And, I've also, by getting stronger, by getting faster and all of this stuff, I've been able to take the mindset of, you practice as hard as you can and you give it everything you can, kind of like, to an extent, Patrick Cantlay's 24/7 process. And also it's like, you work your ass off in practice so that when the actual tournament comes around, that's the easy part. You lift weights, you run, you work on, your mental clarity and all of those things, so that, and you work yourself to the bone in the months beforehand, and then you slowly taper off so you can maintain and build energy, so that when the actual tournament comes, you're just like, oh man, I only have to warm up for like 45, 60 minutes, and then all I have to do is just play 18 holes of golf. Like, what a cakewalk. What a cakewalk.
That's true. Have you thought about, like, it's Highland Meadows, right? Where Marathon's played?
Yes.
So it's been there for a while. You've played that course. With your newfound, like, I've noticed you've shared, I don't know what the hole is, but the golf course you play, you can cut the corner now. Have you thought about any holes that, like, courses you played before, specifically this one that's coming up soon? Like, oh, I'm going to be able to do this there, or anything like that?
I mean, going over the holes over at Highland Meadows, there really aren't a ton of holes that you can cut corners on, really. You can take a couple more aggressive lines, and I've played in a couple of like mini tour events here in Florida, which has been very eye-opening, because as much as I'd like to be open to change, I cannot be in a golf cart and consider it professional golf. So that has presented itself as a unique challenge that I'm just like, at least I know. And obviously being here in Florida in the summer, it makes complete sense just on a safety standpoint of, we get storms all the time. So if you're out in the middle of the golf course, you need to be able to get back into the clubhouse and into safety. And so, really thinking about, there aren't a ton of holes that I would really cut the corner on. Maybe for like hole number 3, I may no longer have to hit driver, or if I do hit driver, I just gonna have to take a little bit more of an aggressive line. 5 will be very interesting just because of the way that the hole is shaped and the runoff that they have off of that tee. 7, I might actually be able to get there with less than a 7-iron in my hand for my third shot. And then number 9, it'll be interesting to see, how firm the golf course is, because I may not be I may not be able to hit driver because I might run it into the hazard that is, in the middle of the fairway out there, or the penalty area, excuse me. And so it's definitely an interesting process. I've also been in touch with the golf course superintendent in the last few days, ever since my coverage on the PGA Tour live broadcast, and they've renovated their bunkers, which I am so excited about, because he's like, the last thing you want to do on this golf course above anything else is be in any of these bunkers, because they are treacherous. And that just excited me so much, because I'd love to be able to walk by and take a look and be like, yeah, that guy sucks, and not be in it for the entire week. So it's really exciting in that regard to be able to see the changes at this golf course that I've been coming to for, this is my 18th year visiting Highland Meadows. I don't believe I've skipped a year in my career. And so it'll be great to see some of the changes that they've made. They made changes to the driving range, the practice area, the 1st and 10th tees, in the last 5 to 7 years. And so to be able to see everything that's taken place, it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah. Wow. And so I know I need to go soon, but real quick.
Oh, we good.
Quick. How many people do you think call course superintendents? Because you broke it down earlier, the way you broke down, you're talking about the dew on the grass in the morning and how the rough, it gathers more, it's going to gather more in the rough. And I feel like you think about the game and you actually do homework. I feel like that's not I think a lot of people do, but I'm not sure that's a super common thing.
No, it definitely is not a common thing. And for me, it's not that I just sit there and I observe, and I'm like, it's simple math. 76 degrees of a dew point, especially when the temperatures are already at 82 degrees over there. And then you're looking at 77% humidity and no wind. It is going to be hot. It is going to be sticky. It's going to be stagnant. And you can see the dew on the driving range. And it's just clearly going to collect further and further in the rough. It's just going to absorb it more. And there's more, more room for condensation and things like that. These are just things that just come to me naturally. I just during the broadcast when, I forget which one, maybe it was 15 or something like that, where Bryson's like, how did that ball draw? And I'm just like, bro, the ball's above your feet. It's going to, the physics of the golf club and the golf, it's going to, these are just things that are just second nature to me, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm lucky that these are things that I take note of every single morning. These are things that I'm thinking about, as soon as I hit my tee shot, I know what club I'm going to have into the green, because before I hit my tee shot, I've looked at where the hole location is, because where the hole location is going to dictate where I should be coming in from the fairway. just being down the middle is not necessarily going to always be beneficial. Like if the ball is over on the left side of, or if the hole is located on the left side of the green, chances are you're going to want to focus on being on the right side of the fairway to open that green up, unless you're the kind of player that wants to play a draw into that particular hole location. So you may have to be hitting from the left side of the fairway and playing a big sweeping draw. Like there's all these things where I'm just like, it just comes to me like, it's golf. That's what the whole point of golf is. Like you got to think about things like this, So yeah, I don't think it's very common. I don't know if anyone else has contacted the superintendent, but I did speak to him, and I told him already that I would love to, find an opportunity where I'd be able to meet up with some of the grounds crew just to thank them for, providing us with this opportunity to have such a beautiful golf course and to have such a beautiful golf course every single year. And thankfully he did tell me that, they're pretty simple guys. So plenty of Bud Light's all they need. Cause I was like, you got any IPA dudes? Like you got any guys that like stout, this and that. And they're like, nah, we like Bud Light. Bud Light's plenty. So I was like, all right, I'm going to bring, I don't know how many. I'm going to bring so much beer. That's all I know.
That's awesome. No, I feel like also you're a natural, like from what I've seen, is that you love golf course, like just golf in general. Like you take in the architecture of golf courses, the history of golf and golf courses, and like, yeah, so it's something that's pretty natural to you. It's like breathing. It's like you can't help but think about these things. And
yeah, I mean, I'm a golf nerd. Obviously, in the last few years, I've been lucky to become really good friends with Michael Clayton, who's a golf course architect and former European Tour player, played in Australia. He's that guy that fell on his ball. And I've been able to get in touch with and have communications with the likes of Tom Doak and Mike DeVries. And, it is pretty remarkable because these guys are superstars in my world because they were able to take a plot of land and turn it into something truly majestic. Like the fact that Tara Eby, which is my favorite course in the entire world, located at the top of the North Island of New Zealand, was just a grove of trees. And so based solely on a topographical map, Tom was able to create this amazing golf course. And he was able to see the land through the trees, and it's unbelievable, and yeah, I mean, these are things that I've always had an affinity for. I like to think if I do actually take the time to involve myself in a project or in a subject or anything like that, I like to fully immerse myself and get as much of a well-rounded understanding of that subject, because it can do nothing but help me.
Right. Do you think that you would ever consider, or in your future think about designing a golf course?
I mean, I've thought about it,
I know, like I don't know how much. I know it entails a lot, because not everyone can just be like, yeah, I'm going to build a golf course. Like, obviously, and you've talked to architects and people well, like, it's not a simple task. Like, you have to know drainage and where, like, it's a lot. Kind of grass you're going to use. And
yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to understand, like, weather patterns. You have to understand soil compositions. Because there are a lot of golf courses where, you may come across a piece of property that is absolutely beautiful. It's a wonderful backdrop, this and that, whatever, and the soil's not good. And then you can come across a place like, like say somewhere like a Ballyneal or a Sand Valley, where you sit there and you're just like, the Nebraska, you're going to build one of the finest golf courses in the world in Nebraska. And it's like, if you go and visit and see some of the sand dunes there, like the soil is perfect. I have yet to play there. I've just been told about it. And it's like, everything about the actual property is perfect. So, when you can find a piece of land that has its beck and call coming to you, then, and you build a beautiful golf course, the people will come.
Yeah.
is probably the best way that I think about it. And so yeah, it is something that I've, like day dreamt about and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, oh, it's just a pipe dream. Like I could, who would want to play one of my golf courses? They'd probably sit there and be like, where's the clown's mouth? And then there's probably going to be speakers playing all day long. There's going to be a bunch of crappy music and I'll never be able to get a word in edgewise and I can't focus and this and that. No, I don't know. If one day I'm ever able to feel like I am educated enough in golf course architecture, then maybe.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm such a novice right now in comparison to all of the great people that are out there already.
I mean, first of all, I'd play your golf course, no matter where or what shape it's in. But I do think that you have, if you wanted to be a golf course architect in the future, I think you could do it. If you want to get into golf commentating or analyzing or whatever, I think you could do that at a very high level as well. But right now, I think you have a lot of really, really good golf ahead of you. And I look forward to seeing, how you do coming up in the rest of the year and hopefully along, many more years on tour too. So
I appreciate that, Ben. Yes, as soon as I finished my commentary on Sunday, I took my commentator hat off and grabbed my tour player hat and popped it right back on.
That's awesome. Well, Christina, I know you're a busy person, but I appreciate you taking time to talk to me. Always fun catching up. Yeah.
Yeah. Always great catching up with you. So thank you so much for having me on. You know that I'm a huge fan of your work and a huge fan of you as a human being. I'm still waiting on my mug that you said you were going to make me, because I am a fan of your artwork as well, and your pottery. So I thank you for having me on, and I can't wait to see you when we do get the opportunity to see each other again.
Yeah, me too. Appreciate you, all your kind words, and I look forward to seeing you too.
Virtual hug.
Safe travels, and I will talk to you soon. I look forward to catching up with you after a few weeks, back in play.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Ben.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to episode 9 of Pitchin' It with Ben. If you liked what you heard, please like, rate, comment, subscribe, and share. See you in episode 10.